Hello everyone, my name's Mahendra Mahey. I'm based at the University of Bath in a section called UConn. How many of you have heard of UConn? Oh good, right, a few hands go up there. It's a centre of expertise in digital information management. I've been there for 5 years. For the last nearly 2 years, I've been working on a JISC-funded project called the Dev CSI project, and what I'm going to be talking about that project in my talk now, and what I'm going to be focusing on is the title is why local developers are important for innovation in education. So what I'm going to do first is sort of set some of the background of why the project actually came to fruition, and the actual idea for the project actually came from my boss Paul Walk, who's based at UConn as well. And one of the things, I think things were kind of looking quite grim even 18 months ago, probably even more grim now, but I think at the time Paul was kind of looking at sort of the whole sort of idea of innovation and what role developers play in innovation. And so one of the sort of the central beliefs of sort of the idea of the project was that especially when things are bad, that's when a lot of innovation occurs. And we thought this is really a ripe opportunity to start a project like this. And there's a quote from Jason Calcanis, an entrepreneur. I think lots of people have that kind of belief. So what the project specifically looked at was technical innovation and the role that developers play in technical innovation. And we sort of, the ideas of the project sort of came quickly to the sort of viewpoint that in order for technical innovation to actually happen, there needs to be some kind of investment. And I think some of the sort of barriers to this are that IT generally in educational institutions is sort of regarded as a sort of sunk cost. And what the project was kind of beginning to sort of argue, I'll tell you what the project is in a second, but was that in order for technical innovation to actually happen, institutions actually need to invest in that. And the sector needs to invest in that if innovation is going to happen, especially times like this. So technical innovation has a cost, an investment is required, and if you outsource stuff, that has a cost too. And one of the things that we were arguing was that by outsourcing a lot of IT, you actually reduce your capacity to innovate. So this is where the project, the DevCSI project was born. So it stands for Developer Community Supporting Innovation. And I've just split up the logos so you kind of know what it means. So you've got Developer Community Supporting Innovation. I'm not sure that works, but there's actually a meaning behind those little icons. It's just funded, based at UConn at the University of Bath. And the first phase of the project, between 2009 and 2010, was looking at how we were going to go about trying to get a UK further and higher education developer community together. And what we felt was that developers may be networked as far as their technologies were concerned, but there wasn't actually anything that existed across the sector. There wasn't sort of the possibility for developers from different institutions to meet each other and share ideas from different disciplines, different technologies. And so a lot of the first year's work was really trying to look at how we were going to sort of start to build that community. And so the main sort of focus of the first year was really sort of a lot of energy, engagement with people, sort of trying to get a critical mass of people together and also prove some of the assumptions we made in the project. So that a lot of that revolved around organising lots of events, because if you want a community to be built, you've got to organise opportunities for people to actually meet each other and network and learn new things, share new ideas. So, because I'm kind of pushed for time, I'm just going to sort of whiz through some of the events that we did in the first year, and then I'll go into some of the kinds of things that we do. But we work with different communities, different stakeholders. So we obviously, because JISC is our funder, we've worked quite a lot with JISC in terms of supporting JISC projects, and by default working with institutions, because institutions work on JISC projects. We also work with getting developers and different stakeholders together. So we've done events with librarians and developers, academics and developers, researchers and developers, managers and developers. Some of these are kind of discussion forums, some of these are practical, let's do something kind of events, sort of hack events. And also, I've been quite sort of reactive to what the developers want. We have a steering committee of sort of 10 developers, and they give us ideas of the kinds of things that they want and the community wants. One of the big events that we do is an event called Dev8D. Has anybody heard of Dev8D? A few of you. Okay, good. That is kind of the sort of the annual get together, the sort of the big developer event. Did anybody go to Dev8D this year? Okay, a couple of you. Okay. Anybody last year? Okay. That's a big event where developers from various kinds of developers across the sector. And we're not ashamed to admit it, it's a lot of fun. People enjoy themselves, they do really interesting things, they learn lots of stuff. They have a good time, but they come away, hopefully, a lot of them inspired to go back and try out some of these new ideas and share them with other colleagues. So let me give you just a quick flavour of some of the events that we did. I'm just going to whiz through this particular one. We ran an event which was masquerading as a project meeting. And in fact, we had a completely different agenda. It was quite exciting, actually, because we kind of ripped up the agenda at the beginning. Everybody started panicking. But we ran an event, a 2-day event, about this kind of myth about developers lacking communication skills. So some people are laughing. And it was, what we'd asked people to do a present. They had to give a presentation on their project. And that's all they thought they had to do. And then we told them that, because it was over 2 days, they would have to do it again, but the next day they would only have 30 seconds to do it. And everybody sort of, a look of panic on people's faces. Was quite, but the other thing that was quite cruel, but actually quite valuable, was that all the presentations were recorded on video, and each person went to get some feedback in a kind of Dragon's Den type situation, where they got feedback on things that they could improve. And this particular slide is from Shiraz Ali, who won the Most Improved Award. And I won't show the video now, we haven't got time, but this was kind of before and after, and some of the results were quite startling. The differences, really were quite startling. So I mentioned Dev8D. Dev8D's, it's the sort of annual event, part of Dev CSI. Lots of interesting things, lots of coding labs, workshops, lots of projects. There's just a couple of slides there. This slide here is a kind of DIY homebrew touchscreen people developed using a Wii remote. And this one here, this particular one here, has anybody heard of the 3D printer? Yeah, this is Adrian Boyer from the University of Bath. This is essentially, I think the genius of it is calling it a printer, but it's actually a sort of plastic injection molding system. And you create a design, and it creates essentially a plastic object. It can do shoes, it can do bolts, and anything you want. That creates a lot of sort of stir last year. I'll come back to this year's event and some of the cool things that we did then. But what we're essentially doing is providing a space for a kind of playful space, a creative space for people to share new ideas, to discuss things, new technologies, without sort of passing any sort of judgment. And you know, some really, really interesting things have come out as a result of it. We also organised a number of challenges. This one was a challenge that was connected to a repositories event, digital repositories event, and just that slide is just showing the winners, Richard Davis and Rory McNichol. And part of sort of the idea of developers entering challenges is kind of validation and kind of raising their profile. But this particular challenge was all about enhancing a metadata record using by adding useful related links, but they were automatically generated. And this kind of sort of focuses on something else that's a very important part of the project, and that is about the project has a kind of an assumption, a built-in assumption, that local developers are best placed to add value to existing software or new software developments. How long have I got?
Still about 4 minutes.
Okay, right. Okay, I'm going to whiz through a few slides then. We commissioned a case study last year at the University of Kent, and that was essentially trying to show what kind of results do you get when you invest in your developers. Just quickly moving on to phase 2, which is the phase we're in now. And those two things we're looking at are value and sustainable growth. So that's just a quick sort of map of some of the kinds of events that we're doing this year. I'll just quickly show you about 10 seconds of a video from Dev8D this year. This was one of the projects that took place there, if I just whiz this back. Okay, sorry. It's available on our blog if you want to see the full video. Sorry? I think it was, apparently they claimed it's the first time anybody had done it in the world. Kind of, we have to do this with an R drone. But, okay.